I'm Elise Unruh. Out of the ashes, the referendum of women's rights. In mythology, it is said that the phoenix is immortal and can live and rise again from the ashes of the fire that once killed it. In the 1860s, a woman's job was to cook and clean, but never to vote or help decide the future of America. In 1867, it seemed impossible for women to do a lot of things, but little did they know the amazing future to come. Now, because of Kansans trying and sometimes failing and then trying again, the women have the rights that all citizens have today. In 1867, a woman's life was to cook, clean, marry well, and have children. As a woman, your life was controlled by men. There are few jobs a woman could have other than teaching, and that was a low-status, low-paying job. Most women could not get a higher education or good opportunities because they are not male. In 1848, a women's movement first met in New York, and then they started to pay attention to the Midwestern states. Later, in 1861, Kansas allowed women to vote in local elections. Suffragettes such as Mary Jane Ritchie in Topeka, Clarina Nichols, and Mary Teeny Gray rallied and fought till eventually in 1867, Kansas became the first state to have a referendum for voting rights. This referendum was not just for women, but proposed that all citizens could vote, male, female, black, and white. After all the hard work, unfortunately the referendum was denied by white male voters. The Kansas women's movement was shaken. It felt like this was another way for men to control their lives. But just like the phoenix, the spirit of freedom and equal rights was still alive in their hearts. They refused to give up, but this would not be the last time the phoenix would have to go to the fire. In 1894, they took the referendum back to the people to fight for another day. Once again, male voters shut them down. Instead of giving up, these women went back to work, and their fiery gaze switched to local elections. The Kansas Equal Suffrage Association realized that women may not be able to vote in national elections, but they worked to allow women to vote in local elections and run for office as town officials. National leaders saw the newly organized Western territories and states as an ideal battleground for women's rights in America. Kansas women saw some early victories. They gained the right to vote in school and district elections in 1861 and municipal elections in 1887. Susan Salter moved to Kansas in 1872. In April 1887, men put her on a ballot in Argonia for mayor of the town as a joke. She won the election with 2/3 the vote. She did not realize her name was on the ballot until the morning of the election. This was a huge breakthrough for the women's rights movement. She was mayor for one term, 1 year, and in that year there was no problems. She did not run again, but the point was made. She was the first female mayor in the U.S. The first phoenix was born in 1867. It was thrown back in the fire. Then the second was born in 1894, but the phoenix was once again burned by the flames of prejudice. Finally, the third time the phoenix was set to soar, on November 5, 1912, the referendum was a success. The sunflower state was shining almost as bright as the fire that lit her eyes. According to Kansaspedia, with the tide of the reform running high during the first 2 decades of the 20th century, the campaign for women's suffrage took on a whole new light. Kansas became the 8th state to allow full suffrage for women. After this success, they didn't give up. They kept working hard and fighting for the rights for all women. Finally, after Kansas women got the right to vote, the rest of America did. On August 8, 1920, the long-sought-after goal was achieved. The United States ratified the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Because of the work that women's suffrage movement did in Kansas, America would not be the same. The first impact is that it showed the other states that Kansas would fight for equal opportunities. Even though the first referendum lost, it inspired other states. After a referendum of the National American Suffrage Association decided to make the sunflower the emblem of its suffrage campaign. Because Kansas held a referendum so early in the battle for suffrage, it shows that Kansans are forward thinkers, have new ideas, and want equal opportunities for all. This was also shown in the abolitionist movement. As time goes on, there will be more issues that Kansans will fight for, but they may be shut down again and again. The 1867 referendum shows that even if you are burned like the phoenix, you can rise from the ashes and try again until you finally win.